Corn or maize farming best practice number 3 is integrated water management for resilience and efficiency. That is understanding water requirements and critical growth stages. Water represents the single most yield limiting factor for corn production in most environments, with research demonstrating that adequate water management can increase yields 30 to 60% compared to water-stressed crops, while judicious water conservation can reduce irrigation needs by 30 to 50% compared to inefficient practices. Corn requires approximately 20 to 24 inches, that is 500 to 600 millimeters of water, total across the growing season. But this requirement isn't evenly distributed. Understanding which growth stage are most critical and allows strategic water management, focusing on limited resources when they provide maximum return. During germination and emergency, that is the first 2 to 3 weeks, corn needs consistently moist but not saturated soil, enabling seed to imbibe water, trigger germination, and push through soil to establish. Severe water stress during this stage reduces stands and creates uneven emergence. During vegetative growth, that is weeks 3 to 8, corn requires adequate water supporting rapid leaf expansion and root development, which moderates stress reduction, reducing plant size, but not immediately threatening yields. The most critical period is reproductive growth, tasseling through grain frill, that is approximately week 9 to 13, when corn needs 60% of its total seasonal water requirement. Just 7 to 10 days of severe water stress during this window can reduce yields 40 to 60% through reduced kernel numbers, small kernels, and incomplete ear development. This knowledge transforms water management strategy. Rather than attempting to maintain perfect moisture throughout the season, expensive and often which is expensive and often impossible. Strategic farmers ensure adequate water during critical reproductive periods while accepting moderate stress during less sensitive vegetative periods. Therefore, monitor your fields during tasseling. This is when water is absolutely non-negotiable. Prioritize irrigation or moisture conservation during this window, even if it means accepting some stress earlier or later. If water is severely limited and you must choose, provide water during week 9 to 13 rather than week 3 to 8. The economic return on water invested during reproduction is 5 to 10 times higher than water applied during vegetative growth. Another thing is implementing soil moisture conservation through mulching. Mulching covering soil surface with organic materials represents the single most powerful accessible water conservation technique available to corn farmers because it reduces evaporation by 50 to 80%, suppresses weed competition for moisture, moderates soil temperature, protecting roots from heat stress, and adds organic matter as mulch decomposes. The water savings from proper mulching often eliminates the need for supplemental irrigation in moderately dry conditions or reduce irrigation frequency by 50 to 70% in irrigated systems, while simultaneously improving soil health and reducing labor. Mulch is essentially free irrigation plus fertility plus weed control combined into one practice. Even corn farmers should implement mulching because the material usually costs nothing. These are crop residues, grass or clippings or leaves, and application requires only simple labor, yet the benefit multiply yields in dry conditions. Therefore, implement mulching systematically after planting and once corn seedlings reach 4 to 6 inches tall, ensuring they are established and won't be burned. Apply 3 to 4 inches layer of organic mulch materials around the plants, maintaining 2 to 3 inches clear immediately around the stalk. That is preventing moisture-related disease problems. Sustainable mulch Sustainable mulch materials include chopped corn stover, those are stalks from previous harvest, wheat or rice straw, grass clippings, and ensure no herbicide residues. Leaves, weed residues before seed development, or any organic material that won't introduce pests or diseases. Apply mulch between rows and around plants, creating continuous coverage that shades soil. Prevent wind from discutting surface layers and intercepting rain, allowing gentle infiltration rather than plashing, causing erosion. Replenish mulch as it decomposes through the season, maintaining 2 to 3 inches depth. A small farm can mulch 1 to 2 acres with family labor in 2 to 3 days using local available materials at zero cash costs, yet the yield benefits often equal or exceed expensive irrigation systems costing thousands of dollars. Best practice number 4 is biological fertility through legume integration. That is capturing free nitrogen from the atmosphere. Nitrogen represents the most expensive and most critical nutrient for corn production, with typical fertilizer recommendations calling for 100 to 150 pounds of nitrogen per year, costing $80 to $150, depending on fertilizer prices and application rates. This massive expense makes nitrogen fertility your single largest variable cost in conventional corn farming, creating tremendous economic pressure and often forcing farmers to under-apply nitrogen, which will be a factor for reducing your yields, or skip applications entirely, which will severely limit production. The revolutionary discovery that transformed legions of struggling farmers into prosperous ones is that legume crops like beans, cowpeas, soybeans, vetches, clovers, and many others fix atmospheric nitrogen through symbiotic bacteria living in root nodules, capturing 60 to 150 pounds of nitrogen per acre, depending on species and growing conditions, and can make this nitrogen available to following crops when legume residues decompose. This means you can potentially eliminate 50 to 70% of more of synthetic nitrogen applications by strategically integrating legumes into your rotation, replacing expensive purchased inputs with free biological nitrogen fixing, while simultaneously improving soil structure, adding organic matter, breaking pest cycles, and diversifying farm income through legume crops and sales, thereby earning even more. The biology of nitrogen fixation is fascinating and understanding. It helps you maximize this free resource Legume plants form partnerships with the rhizobia bacteria that colonize their roots, creating disinfective pink nodules which are visible when you dip up an unexamined root. These bacteria possess the remarkable ability to create the extremely strong triple bond in atmospheric nitrogen gas, converting it into an ammonia that plants can use, receiving sugars from the plant as energy payments for this service. A mutually beneficial symbiosis which is perfected over millions of years of evolution. A healthy legume crop develops hundreds of nodules per plant, each hosting billions of these rhizobia bacteria, busily fixing nitrogen, with the total fixation rates varying by species. Cowpeas fix 60 to 100 pounds nitrogen per acre. Soybean fixes 80 to 150 pounds per acre. And then vetches fix 1,000 to 200 pounds per acre. And tree legumes like Lucena fix 150 to 3,000 to 300 pounds per acre annually. When legume crops are harvested, roots and nodules remain in the soil, decomposing and releasing fixed nitrogen. When legumes are used as green manure, growing them then incorporating biomass into soil before maturing, all the fixed nitrogen plus nitrogen contained in leaves and stems become available for the following crops. For the crops in the following season. Implementing legume cover crops and rotation. This is how you should do it. Integrate legumes into your crop production through several approaches. Cover cropping, that is planting legumes in off seasons between main crops. That is another thing is rotation. That is alternating corn with legume crops in successive growing season, or intercropping or growing legumes and corn or maize simultaneously in the same field. Each approach offers distinct advantage suiting different farming systems and preferences. Cover cropping provides the simplest and most universally applicable approach. Immediately after harvesting corn, plant a legume cover crop, allowing 60 to 70 days growing before the next corn planting season. Select cover crop species matching your climate and timing. Cowpeas works excellently with tropical and subtropical regions with 60 to 90 day window, requiring minimal moisture and fixing substantial nitrogen while producing edible grains, generating additional income. Lab, that is hyacinth bean, thrives in warmer climates with 90 to 120 day windows, reducing massive biomass and fixing 80 to 150 pounds nitrogen per acre. Vetches excel in temperature and in temperate regions, tolerating cooler temperatures and available to tropical legumes and clovers. White, red or crimson work wonderfully in cool season windows, providing ground cover and nitrogen fixation. Plant cover crops immediately after corn or maize harvest, when residual soil moisture enables establishment without supplemental irrigation. For cowpeas, plant 15 to 25 pounds of seeds per acre. That is approximately 30 to 40 seeds per square meter, in rows or broadcasts, covering lightly with soil. Ensure good seed-soil contact for reliable germination Allow the cover crop to grow 60 to 90 days, developing substantial biomass and root systems with enormous nodules, fixing nitrogen. Terminate the cover crops 2 to 3 weeks before planting per corn or maize by cutting or removing at ground level, leaving residues on the surface as mulch or incorporating shallowly into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. Decomposing cover crop residues releases nitrogen gradually over the following 2 to 4 months, perfectly timed with corn's increasing nitrogen demands during rapid growth. Many farmers report that after 2 to 3 years of consistent cowpea cover cropping, synthetic nitrogen requirements drop from 100 to 120 pounds per acre to 40 to 60 pounds per acre, therefore reducing fertilizer costs by 50 to 70% while maintaining or even increasing yields through improved soil health. Strategy number 5 is integrated pest management, reducing chemical dependence.